So welcome to lesson 3. This is where things get interesting and we finally dive into the footprint portion of this strategy. So as you can see, I have the footprint charts in front of me, and in this video I'm going to go over sort of the anatomy of the footprint charts. So this is purely just theory based. I'm going to explain all the things that we have in front of us. This is not linked to our strategy. I just want you to be able to understand where all these numbers and data come from and what they mean to us. But in the next video, we'll dive deeper into what exactly we want to look for the strategy. So just to get the common questions out the way, I am accessing the footprint chart right now using the MT4 indicators from Cluster Delta. If you go on their website, you'll see that they have other options for standalone footprint apps for both Mac and Windows, and they have indicator packs for CTrader and NinjaTrader. Now, in the Discord server, Sandra has already created all the videos about installation and adding our custom templates and how to start using these tools, so I'm not going to repeat all of that. You can find all the information in our server or on the Cluster Delta website. So in this video, I'm just going to dive simply into the theory or the anatomy behind the footprint chart. So let's begin with the candlesticks. So on the left here, we obviously have the trading view charts, and I am actually currently looking at the futures price chart for GBP USD. So this is called 6B. You can see that here. And using the Cluster Delta app, you can actually see all the pairs and what their futures name is. So if you're ever struggling to find it, you can see it here. So GU is called 6B, and you can see that if we have this chart and let's just go to normal GBP USD on normal broker chart, you can see the price feed is a little bit different. This is because on normal Forex or CFD price charts, the price feed is based on the broker. And because it's not regulated, you'll see that every broker has little discrepancies in the price charts. However, with futures, it doesn't matter which broker or which prop firm you're with, you'll have the exact same price feed. So that is what the footprint data is based on. So here is not matching up. However, if we search up 6B, you'll see it says futures, CME, and this is the one that matches up with our footprint chart. So let's start with the candlesticks over here. Each of these columns represents the candlesticks on our price charts. And you can see we have these little accents on the side. So you got the classic green for a buying candle and red for a selling candle. But you notice that it doesn't take up the entire candlestick. If you look here, the green is only at the bottom here. That is because that is the body of the candlestick, and the blank part is the wick. You can see the selling candle here is lower than the previous one. That is because you see the wick is coming up to the body here, and then you have the selling body over here, or the bearish body. And then lastly, again, you have the smaller body on the buying candle, so it's green, and then you got the wick at the bottom and the wick at the top here. So this is a 15-minute chart. Each of these candles are just the same 15-minute candles we have on our GU price chart. Now, the second thing you'll see here is 2 columns, and typically your footprint chart by standard looks more like this. It's called the bid and ask chart. So all that these numbers represent are the actual contracts that are being bought and sold at that price level within the candlestick. This is more based on sort of the volume that was being traded there. So if you want to know more about that specifically, we can actually go to the Cluster Delta website, and then if you go here to information, futures, specification, and you choose the pair that you're looking at, it will actually tell you over here how much each contract is worth. So 62,500 British pounds. So when you see 6 on the bid, that is 6 times the number of contracts, and that's how much was actually being sold at that price level. And the 11 represents 11 times 62,500, and that is the amount that was bought at that price level. So the bid is showing you how much was sold, and the ask is showing you how much was bought, right? So the reason I had this chart open is to understand a bit more about the delta, because spoiler alert, the delta is actually going to be the key part of our strategy. I don't look at this footprint chart in our strategy, but I only wanted to show you today so you understand why we are looking at the delta and where the delta values come from. So it might be a little hard to see, so I'm just going to make it super massive for you. So hopefully you can see that. So what the delta is essentially the ask take away the bid. So simply 11 take away 6 is 5. And you can see that's on the delta here. 10 take away 3 is 7. However, you see sometimes you have 12 take away 6. That gives you negative delta. And based on this, you can see that if we have a higher delta value or an extremely low delta value, the colors of the delta are stronger. So it's way more green here than it is here, way more bright red here than it is over here, right? Now at the top here, we also have the volume. What the volume is the total of all the bid and ask, whereas the bottom value is the delta. And this is again the total delta of all of these in the candlestick added up. So the reason we have all these numbers on the chart is just to be able to have a quick glance at, you don't want to add up all the individual contracts. You just want to have a quick glance and say, oh, okay, there was high volume, a lot of buying and selling activity inside of this candlestick. And then you don't want to be manually adding up all the delta. You just want to see overall this candlestick was bearish. There was more selling activity. Overall in this candle, there was more buying activity. And a common misconception is that people think, well, if it's a bullish candle, there will be more buying. However, if you look at this candle, it was a bullish candle. However, the delta was negative. And that's because you can see in the contracts, the bid and ask, there was more selling activity in this candle. And we can only see that using the footprint. So even though this was a bullish candle, we see that there were more sellers here. And that could be the first potential sign that we are having a reversal. Obviously, it's not as simple as that. And I'll explain in the next video more of the signs and things that we look out for. But just as a basic explanation, that's why we look at the delta, because simply looking at bullish and bearish candles doesn't indicate to us what is actually happening inside the candlestick. So on the day-to-day for the strategy, I am only looking at the delta chart. So I wanted to do this video explaining the anatomy so you understand where the bid and ask come from and how they make up the delta. But for the strategy itself, we are simply only looking at the delta chart. And in the next video, we'll start going deeper into what exactly we're looking for. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the server, but hopefully they'll all be cleared up in the next video. So I'll see you there.